Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Roy Canny.
I'm Chris Yee.
And today we're taking a look at a very anticipated game, Return to Dark Tower, which I'm trying not to lift too much here because it will fall over. As a side note, it doesn't say it on the side of the box, which bugs me.
Any side of it.
Yeah.
Any side. I guess if it's on your shelf, you know, but seriously, this was on the shelf for a while, and I walked by it. No, it looks like two board games.
It does, that's true.
It does, yeah. The black one and the tan one.
Maybe most people will put on their shelf like this.
I'm not a big fan of
like
the lids
that.
not
Oh
fully
wow,
closing.
I haven't actually even seen that side of the box. That's cool.
That does look really
can
cool.
I see?
And now everything inside is all.
No.
We are learning
But the
together.
lid keeps look like it's about to fall off. When they could've just made the lid
this
a little
is
bit
Lords of
longer.
Waterdeep did this. A few other games do this. Supposedly, it makes the box a little sturdier. I shouldn't say supposedly, it does, because the lid isn't as deep, so the ends don't push.
Nice.
We're talking about the box. You want to hear about the game. I don't want to tell you about the game because Chris is.
Here's the setup for Return to Dark Tower. You'll see that there's characters on the side. Depending on the number of players, you'll choose any number of those. Here in the middle of the table is the map with the eponymous Dark Tower there in the middle. And then over here on the side, we've got the resources and the cards and treasures and items that you'll be getting. The tower is Bluetooth connected to the app here or to your device. You'll choose whether to play cooperative or competitive. I'm going to show you how to play the cooperative version. You choose the number of characters. In this case, I'll just do a one-player demo. You choose which of these bad guys you will be fighting against. And so we're going to use the basic one, as calls treasures. Oh, there's the tower. And we're going to be choosing to fight against Ash Strider as the main villain. Then you choose which of the main basic fellas here you'll be fighting against. You can fight against the Brigands, or the Oryx with their 8-pound vacuums, or the Spined Fiends. And so you go through and select each of these. Once you're good with your starting setup here, you'll continue, and the app will tell you how to set up the beginning parts of what you'll need to do. Each game of Return to Dark Tower, you'll be facing a different main enemy and doing a main objective. So in this case, we're trying to recover Azkal's treasures, which is the main goal. That'll be indicated on the map with this standee here. Every character is represented by their player board here, and then the miniature on the map itself, where they'll be moving around adventuring, cleansing skulls, defeating enemies, and so on. The player board is also going to show a series of the round structure. At the beginning of the turn, you'll get a banner thing, which just means a free income of potions or warriors or something. Then the main part of your turn, you'll be able to do these actions. A move action, a heroic action, which is your choice of any of these three, and a reinforce action, which is your choice of any of these four. You can do these in any order. You can even move, do a heroic, finish your move, and then do a reinforcement action at one of the 4 buildings on the map. And at the end of the turn, you'll be dropping one of these skulls from the supply here into the top of the tower, and that's how you trigger the end of your turn. If you are able to complete the quest, the main objective, within 6 months, you'll win the game. If a single player receives 3 corruptions, which are basically damage to their health, they will lose, or if you run out of skulls, you'll also lose. So at the start of the Relic Hunter's turn, they'll draw a potion card, which is their banner. They'll get some sort of special effect that they can spend this at any time for an advantage, and we'll talk about how advantages work. They can move up to 3 spaces. They can cleanse buildings off of skulls here, or they can go over here to fight monsters and go into the app to do the combat, or they can go questing into dungeons as they pop out onto the map and maybe try to go through this to kind of resolve the quest within that space itself. Whenever you're at a building, you can also do one of the 4 reinforcing actions. It depends on which building you are at, as shown by the shape. You can get more spirit or warriors, or you can get more treasure and items. If you spend spirit, you can do a stronger version of the action of whatever building you are at. Each month, there are also 2 additional quests the players can focus on. This is an ally quest, which will either give you some special quest item or give you an ally that will help you complete your goal. And this one over here is preventing the villain from having some sort of special effect. In order to fight monsters on spaces like this or complete dungeons in spaces like this, players will be collecting different items and cards and virtues over here on their player board in order to get more what are called advantages. Advantages allow you to have advantages in battle. So for example, this Azkal's Idol here will give you a beast advantage whenever you're completing one of those types of quests or battles. This one here, this item will give you a magic advantage. Further, depending on whether your kingdom is the southwest, north, or east, you'll get wild advantages, which means they count as magic or beast or humanoid or anything, as long as you are in, for example, with my character, desert spaces. So if I'm fighting this character over here, this this Spine Fiend, you'll see that I need to use magic or beast or wild advantages. When in the app, I will be revealing 2 cards because that's the level of the monster here. In the app, I'm going to choose to go into battle. I'm going to be fighting against a Spine Fiend. I will choose to battle. As I said, it will reveal cards and then it'll randomly select 2 of them in order for me to fight against. And this is going to say, hey, you have to lose a certain number of warriors or spirit or some other sort of resources. These are the people going into battle with you, and you have to lose 5 of them. But you can spend advantages that you have from items, in this case magic and beast advantages, and I can reduce the effects of this card. I'll spend 1 advantage here, and I change it to lose only 3 warriors. Since I have 4 advantages because of my additional for fighting in a desert, I'll reduce this down to, hey, gain a potion. And then I will continue, and it reveals the next one. Oh, this is a critical hit, lose 20 warriors. Well, I might have, say, 1 more advantage. Lose 10 warriors. Well, I've spent all my advantages, so therefore I spend these 10 back to the supply. And I've now completed this battle. If I do, I will then remove this Spine Fiend from the board. Goodbye. When questing, say, in a cave like this, you'll go to this part here, and you'll see that it shows a number of beast advantages is how many you'll be spending to move through the cave. So in this case, let's say that I had a few beast advantages from treasures and from other actions here. I start in this part of the cave and I want to continue along. I encounter this and it says lose 6 warriors. Well, I can do that, so I can choose to spend my 2 advantages. I can choose to spend 1 of my 2 on this right now, but I'm going to just take it. I'll eat those losses, lose those 2 warriors. Thank you for your service. I now get to continue. I'm going to go along here. It says lose an item. Oof, well that's a little bit rough, but I'm going to lose this item instead of spending an advantage on it, and I'm going to continue. I now come to a fork in the road, and so I'm going to choose to go this way. Lose 12 warriors unless you have Dusty Cloaks. I'd rather not. I'm going to spend an advantage here. Gain 2 warriors. Nice. So I'll be getting 2 warriors from the supply because I use one of my advantages to increase the level of that task. I go here, lose 6 warriors in spirit. I'm going to spend another advantage. I only lose 2 warriors. Well, that's a dead end, so I just keep exploring until I find the end of the particular the dungeon here. Once you're done taking actions, you'll take one of these skulls and drop it into the top of the tower itself, which acts a little bit as a dice tower, so in this, or a cube tower. In this case, the skull popped out on this side, and so will have to get added to one of these buildings. If a building ever has 4 skulls in it, it will explode and give the player, whose kingdom it is, a corruption. There are players who will claim south, or west or north or east kingdoms. When you drop skulls into the tower, it'll also trigger events in the app here. And so the tower awakens, Ashstrider puts rivers of fire out onto the board. So depending on which villain you are fighting against, they might take one of these rivers and turn it into a river of fire. Some of the events are good, some are bad. In this case, an ally that you might have acquired through an ally quest will give you something that will help you complete the goal, like drawing an extra treasure card, which might just be one of Askul's treasures that you need to destroy. Other events are negative, like this one. A seal is broken, which will reveal one of the seals on the tower to remove itself. So I pop the door off of this space here in the West Kingdom, and it shows a symbol now, and if I was the West Kingdom player, this particular action, which happens to be a banner action, you would have to spend a spirit in order to do it. It might also affect movement action or some other actions, or it might cause gates to open that will make skulls spill out into your kingdom and have to go into buildings, and then make you spend time cleansing in order to make sure that these buildings don't get too many skulls. As you drop skulls into the tower, they might pop out or they might get stuck, and then an event like this, the tower stirs, will occur, in which the tower will begin to spin and might cause some of the skulls that are stuck in there to pop out into your kingdom. Once you complete whatever the main objective is in the spot here that has the main objective standee, the app will tell you, hey, Ashstrider or whichever villain you're fighting against will appear into a certain spot. You summon them there, and then you can go ahead and try to fight him. When you fight the main nemesis of the particular scenario, you must be in the space with them, with your hero, and then you will battle them, as expected. And then they have a certain number of cards here, and you'll have to face 5 of them. They will come up, and you have to continue going through suffering all these losses. But the twist here is that every advantage that you spend will permanently weaken this card out of their 8. Once you're done, you could choose to continue, or you could retreat. If I continue, the next card will come through. placing skulls out on buildings. I'm going to spend all of these. Oh no, I'm out of advantages now, so I'm going to finish this here, and I'm going to retreat. The bad guy will move, and then the next time someone goes to fight, in this case Ashstrider, 2 of his 8 cards here, will be weakened, so you're hoping to be able to get through a whole gauntlet of all 5 of them, and once you have done that, you will win the game, and then everyone will cheer you as a hero.
Okay, the biggest thing in this game, literally, is the tower.
Sure.
This was
As it should be.
yes. Well, we played this live on the channel actually twice in the prototype form, but I was worried. That was my biggest concern going in. Like, this tower better work and not have any issues. It better, it's going to work with that app. The app needs to have no issues. And I think I can say I haven't run across any.
Yeah.
I was worried about that.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I mean, yeah, it's the centerpiece. It's literally the centerpiece thing of the game. It works fine. I enjoy what it does. It pops out the skulls. It tells you to open up doors, and it all works. It rotates.
I do feel like they missed such a good opportunity. You can't Bluetooth music into it. And I wish you could, because I would use it as a decoration.
I would
and
like to disagree
an Alexa.
extremely with Wendy, because I think the speaker system in the tower is terrible.
Well, that's true, too.
I would
It's not
never
great.
stream music through that. And in fact, I wish more of the sound effects came from the device rather than the tower. I don't know. Have you guys played with the wolves?
Not with the wolves.
No, not that scenario.
Yeah, you get really
Oh, they
tired
howl
of the
like
howling
crazy all the
of
time?
wolves. It's like,
That's
all
awesome.
right, I got it. It's a howling wolf. But again,
I really do like the bling factor of the tower in the middle, though, like the whole whirling and like noise and things like that. It's very interesting, like the atmosphere, I guess, that it adds to the game, even if it is crackly when the wolves are going on. It's still very interesting.
I like it.
The
I'm just
first
saying I
time
would
you
use it
see
as
it,
a
it's just
speaker.
like, oh, lighting up tower thing and stuff like that. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
yeah, I played with my kids, and I did not tell them anything about it. They just saw this tower, and then when it rotated, their minds were blown.
It moved.
Now, when you played this, so Chris used my iPad. That's what I played with.
Yeah, for the.
What did
for the
you
demo.
guys use?
Just our phones.
Our phones, yeah.
Was that okay?
Worked fine.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
perfectly fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I like the iPad because I like the bigger screen for
screen.
that.
I would always prefer it, but the app works just fine on the phone. You can see everything. We didn't have any issues with the connecting, or it all worked well.
That's true. The Bluetooth thing worked well connecting. I did notice it drained my iPad faster than normal, but I mean, that could be anything. I mean, there's a lot of power in there. It's going to go through batteries. What did you say? How many games?
We probably made it through like 6 or 7 games, I think, on one, because they use AAA batteries.
How many?
3 of them.
3.
This is specs review here.
Well, because
3 by 3
here's the
batteries.
thing.
care about those
It's a big part of the game, right? You can't play without the tower. And the negative thing about
Yeah.
the tower is, and I played a lot of 3-player games, and that fourth side, no one's sitting there. I had to move the tower sometimes, like pick the tower up and move it, so we could all look at the board kind of briefly.
It gets in the way a
will
little bit,
block your view.
Now try playing it solo.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not play this solo.
Yeah, it is kind of funny to be like, all right, and my turn. Oh,
You definitely have to look around the whole thing.
yeah.
And there's one weird thing about the tower. Maybe I'm missing something, and I talked to Chris about this. At the very end of the game, it doesn't eject all the skulls. I had to either you open the doors, and you can physically rotate the stuff, or and I ran a diagnostics check, and that also kicked them all out.
Yeah, you have to do a step or two just to make sure.
It just seems odd that it's not like end of the game. Prepare, the tower is now dropping all your skulls.
Yeah, or beginning of the game.
At the beginning of a game, it'll calibrate.
It calibrates, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
I just think it's odd that it doesn't calibrate at the end then.
I think people now want to hear about the game mechanism. Shall we?
Yeah. I was want to. Well, but I do want to talk about. I wanted to mention all that because it is a big part of the game.
For sure.
And it does work.
Yeah.
That's like I think that's the smallest thing I would say about it is, okay, there's no way to eject the skulls at the end, and it blocks your view. Those are the downside. You have to be aware of that with such a grandiose production.
So getting to the game, and again, almost to the game, the theming of the game.
Right.
I both really like it and slightly dislike parts of it. The part I really like is I love that it's fully customizable. You pick your bad guy. You pick the mission you're going to do. And then after you play, like we played with one bad guy, we're like, yeah, we ain't playing with that bad guy again. He was the one who made the number of advantages you have go lower. We're like, yeah, we don't like him.
No.
No. Fun.
So
Yeah, and he's only like one of like 6 or 7 or 8. So good.
sure,
have options.
yeah, I don't care. And then you pick your level 1, level 2, level 3 monsters. My minor complaint, this is very minor, is I had a hard time and my kids had a hard time getting into the characters. They're cool characters,
Right.
but being brutal warlord, I have a hard time. I don't know, and the one I don't even know how to pronounce the word Scion. Is it Scion or Scion?
Scion, I
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah, they're just weird names. I don't know. They don't feel like we're adventurers. We feel like, and I think that's part of the game. I think we're like bad guys stopping a worse bad guy. I think. Anyway, I just had a hard time. I like to get into my character, like, oh, I'm, Jovelinia, the warrior princess or whatever, and this was brutal warlord.
They're all slightly asymmetric, and I mean, it's cool that you have the different powers that you can unlock on them.
Oh, they're very asymmetric.
Yeah.
The character I was playing was very much, the first time I played, I think the Spy Master who has like all the potions and things like that, and the second time I played the Scion who I think gets a whole bunch of spirit and things like that. So it's like you have these things you can kind of specialize in, and you kind of know what your task is a little bit going into the game if you're playing a specific character.
And I think it's cool that you can play without upgrading any of that if that's not what you want
Right.
to do. So you have options. I have done that. No,
I
I don't
always
always
upgrade.
upgrade.
Yeah, depending which character you are, you have specific abilities you can upgrade. I like that because it allows you to go that way. But one time I played, I was the brutal warlord, and I attacked nobody.
Nobody likes the brutal warlord.
No, the brutal warlord's my favorite character. I like him because he gets lots of troops.
Yeah, well, it's funny though because just because you lean a direction doesn't mean you have to go into it, right? I play the brutal warlord. All I do is collect treasures and destroy Azkal's magical grip on the thing via set collection and other type of things. I thought it was, I did no battles. I had a mountain of warriors at the end. I was
Did
like,
you
"Let
at
me
least go in a
fight."
dungeon?
Not that particular game. Because
Wow.
What did you do with all of them?
Depending on the scenario, there's not always dungeons that come out.
It really
There's
does
not,
depend on
you
the
know,
scenario.
Did
So
you
things
fight
can be
the
very
final
different.
bad guy?
A little bit.
That
little
one,
bit.
it was very much like digging through the item deck to try to find specific items, so we had to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
I do feel like that frustrates me a little bit, that the deck is so big and there's so many of the what type of character things are. Are they a melee? Are they a spy? Are they a whatever? It frustrates me that you need like specifically 3 cards out of that deck to fight. Like there was a specific villain, I don't remember what he was. But we were looking for that specific thing and we're just trying to get through that deck of treasures because we needed those benefits to succeed.
There's one that only has one type. He was humanoid only. He
Yeah,
wasn't
that's what it was.
Humanoid magic. He wasn't beast melee. And so when you're fighting that
Oh,
one,
I know who that guy is. He's the guy who makes your cards go away.
Yes.
Yeah, so we were just like trying to get through that deck, and I don't know, I found that unfun that I was going for only one thing.
Now, so let's talk about that. The biggest to me, this game, the tower is there, right? You take the tower away, is the game good? I love the advantage system.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that is so much fun that you have so many advantages. It's a little bit of push your luck. Do I want to use them on this card? Or do I want to wait till the inevitably worst card if I use them now and better card if I don't? This always seems to happen. And I think it's hilarious that they actually let you pick your cards because who cares?
Right.
But it's a feeling. My kids are like, don't pick the middle one. It's always bad. I'm like, well, no, it's random.
Random is random.
The advantages are fantastic. My only quibble, and it is a quibble though, is I found it slightly odd that I couldn't like have some sort of tracker because every time I fought someone, I'm like, okay, hang on.
How many do I have left?
I got 1, 3, 4. You count them up at the beginning of battle. Okay, I got 4 advantages. And then you use those advantages. I wish you could just say on the app at the beginning of the battle, I have 4 advantages.
Yeah.
You press a button.
We
and then
definitely-
it counts down for you because I'm like, how many advantages do I have left? How many did I
We definitely
use?
had to have the other players like hold up fingers.
Yes.
You know?
Like, keep
it's
track,
like
yeah.
3.
people are using fingers, and you know.
That's the one thing if I had played, I would have been like, that needs to be in the game because I can't. At the top, they have a countdown from 10.
This poor box is getting smacked.
It's percussion.
They have a countdown from 10 because you can do 10 total, which I have never ever seen. So yay.
Heavens no.
And they have that countdown. I was like, why not just put the countdown from what I actually have? Now, all that being said, these are minor quibbles. I like the game. I really do. My only quibble about actual gameplay, because everything I've been saying has been technical and stuff, is that I think for new people, it might be a little bit overwhelming when you play this game, even though I think it's very easy to play. In that, what do I do? Oh, I get rid of skulls. I go on a quest. I fight monsters. And on one hand, that's fantastic because you have so much to do and you can actually do it. On the other hand, if you're new, you're like, I don't know what to do first, and you'll probably fight skulls. It's like in Pandemic when you're like, get cubes out of the cities.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, stop, but you won't win if you do that.
I think that's a good thing about the game actually being cooperative, because we played with an extremely new gamer who hasn't played a ton of different games, and we were able to teach through and work through together and work as a team and be a little bit like, oh, well, you could do this or this or this. And I really like the way the player board has all the actions laid out on it. It feels decently intuitive, like the way it's like, okay, you can do one of these, you can do as many of these as you want. All that stuff seemed pretty easy. It's like you have a couple different resources. You have your warriors, you have your spirit, and you can use those things. And I really enjoyed the way it can come all together. I mean, I could see that maybe if you're not used to cooperative games, it might be like, what do I need to do, or where do I need to keep track of stuff? But like, if you're a gamer playing with some people that are not gamers, at least if you have some gamers in the group, you can probably make it work, especially because it's cooperative, you know.
Sure,
Yeah, sure.
And again, that's I really liked. I like the fact. I was talking. There's another cooperative game we talked about recently where there was like side things, and I felt like I couldn't do them. Here, I can do a side quest, and it might end up winning you the game because that dude you get, you're like, oh my word, this guy's gonna rock the town.
Lots of advantages.
I love those ally quests. Yeah, yeah, you get this fantastic item, but there's also the same pressure to go and do the prevent the bad guy from leveling up quest each month. I think that's a good system. Even little things like at the end of your turn, you take a skull and you drop it into the tower. There's no end turn button in the app, which, as small as a decision as that is, it means that you will always remember to drop a skull into the tower. There's good design decisions going on.
I really enjoy games that allow you to build up stuff and build up little combos. And it's like, oh, this power here and that thing there and all that stuff. This game gives you a lot of that. You can get the right items you need and like unlock different abilities and be like, okay, now I'm doing this, 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 and this, and this, and now I have these advantages to go and do this thing. This game allows you to do that, and I find that stuff really enjoyable.
I think my favorite part is the dungeons. I feel like I'm playing Zelda in the sense of like you're exploring rooms and you can choose which direction you want to go. And you're using advantages just like in the battle cards. But I don't know, for some reason the dungeons for me are like more fun.
We love them. My kids are just like, it's definitely not going to be that first side room. I'm like, well, it could be.
Could be.
But thematically, they're like, now you got to go all the way in, then we'll go right. Like, all right, fine.
Go in a circle, get a dead end.
This game is simpler. It makes you feel like you're cooler than you are, which I don't have a problem with. But I think it's definitely something about the game. You pick which direction you go. Probably doesn't matter. You pick the cards you're going to get for the bad guys. Probably doesn't matter. But I don't care. It's fun.
How do you all feel about the length of the game? Because for me, it overstays its welcome. I wish it was shorter.
The more players you have, definitely it is longer. I've played this a few times solo, just at first to kind of get the hang of it, and I thought it was really smooth. It plays in under an hour, and so I think that I like this with fewer people. It's less likely to outstay its welcome the fewer people you're playing with.
Also, if you're playing with fewer people, you leave your town a little bit more, like your home area.
Yeah,
like I feel like when we played 4, I never really left my area more than once.
You're in control of this sort of thing.
Yeah. I handle my stuff instead of running around.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I wish they... Does the app tell you how hard the enemies are? I don't think it does. I kind of wish that this is for a shorter game, pick these ones.
Yeah.
For longer, pick these. They do tell you in the book, pick these if it's your first game. Which, of course, I completely ignored and immediately picked everything that wasn't that. Because I figured you guys would play the beginning stuff, and I would go pick other things. I was just like, kids, what do you think's cool? Then the second time we played, instead of picking things that were cool, we picked monsters that had different... We're like, we already have a magic monster. Now we're picking a beast one because we want your advantages to work when fighting that. And I could go even farther than that because now that we played this last scenario, we know where the wolves will show up more. So we would make the person who was best at fighting the wolves start in that quadrant. That may be more effort than you should put into a cooperative game.
It's going to change next time.
It might. I don't know. But we played this with the wolves twice, and they always showed up in those woods area, which are on one quadrant of the board. I'm like, okay, well, now that we know that, that's where the anti-beast person should go. The anti-beast? Well, whatever.
I'm anti-beast.
I do think it's neat that there are so many different scenarios. I didn't count, but one of them, there's a bunch of tree ents out on the board, basically, trademark. A bunch of big tree monsters represented by tokens, and you have to go and convince them to go surround the tower, and that's how you trigger the end game. Other ones you have to go...
I actually really like that scenario.
That's a really great... So yeah, the other ones you have to get treasures, fish them out of the treasure deck. There's other ones
We
where
played
you
one
have
where it was
to...
the caravans trying to move in, and we had to go stop the caravans before they got to the tower, that sort of thing.
That one's a really dungeon-heavy one. So depending on what kind of gameplay thing you... I want more dungeons. There's scenarios for that. I want to do a little more board manipulation. There's scenarios for that.
All right, Roy, what do you think?
For me, Dark Tower is going to get an 8. I really enjoy the game. I think it's a lot of fun. I do think that there's a lot in this box for like how it feels like a light cooperative game over. It's not light, okay? It feels like a medium weight cooperative game overall, and I think I could play it with. This is one of those things that I would get out if I wanted to show somebody the bling. Like, holy crap, have you seen this Dark Tower? That's the kind of reason I would get this game out. Is it going to be like a game that I go back to over and over and over and over and over again? I don't know, but I did enjoy my play of it, and I really enjoyed that. But yeah, Dark Tower.
I had a lot of good things to say about it, and so keep that in mind when I say my score, right? My score is going to be a 7.5. I agree a lot with what Roy said. It's fun. It's not one that I want to keep coming back to because that's not what this is. This is a little bit more simpler of a cooperative. This is no Gloomhaven. People say, oh, Isaac Childress did design work on it. Yeah, there's a lot of smart things. The advantage system is fantastic. But it's not something I see myself continually coming back to, but when I want to show off something. Yeah. Hey, I bet you've never seen a game that does this. And people might say, oh, you're a little hypocritical because Foundations of Rome, I really docked down for its production. This is overproduced also, but it's also very intentionally a revamping of Dark Tower. So it needs to be overproduced, so to speak. Overall, good.
What do you think?
I'm up. Okay, well, I actually gave this a 7 because I think that it's got some really good systems to it that I enjoy, and I think there's some good gameplay. It overstays its welcome, the overproduction, and the price point for me. Like, I really struggle with that price point. The tower is cute, but I think that the game could have been a different, like labeled a totally different game, and would have been in some ways more useful if it didn't have that giant tower there. So I gave it a 7. I still recommend it for people that this is what they want, but for me, it's not something that I'm going to come back and play very many more times.
All right, I always complain that cooperative games are getting too hard. I don't think that's the case with this one. I think this one gives you a challenge. I mean, there's probably combos that are ridiculously hard. What I like about Return to Dark Tower is it makes it feel like, oh my word, this final boss has killed 30 enemies. I mean, 30 of your soldiers. But I have 46, so I use one advantage. Now he's only killing 15. I got armor, it's -2. I got 13, and I feel awesome in this.
Yeah.
And that is what I want in a game. Is I want it to be tough, but I want to feel awesome. In this game, all the characters feel awesome. You get awesome allies, you get awesome stuff. I like the tower. It's a dice tower, sort of. It's a skull tower. That's not the name of our new show. And you also know what you're getting. You don't accidentally buy this off the shelf.
Right.
Sure.
You're looking for this. I mean, this kills that old piece of trash game. I mean, I know people are nostalgic for it, but this is an actual good game. I really like this. I'm giving it an 8.5. And I would go play this again because, for me, the variety is great. It's easy to set up. Mostly, I mean, the tokens, I have to find the right tokens, but I can be like, we'll play this, and this, and it's a completely different game. And even though my character's the same, and I don't know if the dungeons are random.
They are. Yeah.
No, I mean,
they're procedurally generated.
No, I get the procedurally generated one. I don't know if the fact that you get a dungeon is random or not, like the allies and stuff. I don't know if that's random.
How much that changes.
Also, the ally Tomas is really, really useful. But I think it's fantastic, and it's a game that my kids were very glad to play again, and a lot of fun. So there we go. It's Return to Dark Tower. I don't know how this is going to reach out. There's not going to be a ton of these, so if you want to get a copy, you want to get it sooner than later.
Right.
But anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Roy Canning.
I'm Chris Yee.
Have fun in the tower.
Skull Tower.